Do you guys want to see me test the Polestar 3, the Polestar 4, Volvo EX90, Porsche Macan, and all the other new electric cars that have been launched this winter? But summer testing, you guys want to know the results on the motorway when the temperature is warm, not cold like it is now, and it's only going to get colder and colder. Well, I'm trying to go to a warmer place this winter to do that type of testing, either Spain or California, and for that I have started a GoFundMe so you guys can support this project. And so far, after a few weeks, we've already collected more than 20% of the funds needed. So yeah, we're really close, and the plan is to go sometime in January or February. I have to arrange all of these cars, like the Volvo EX90 won't be available before January, and that's the car I really want to test. So if you want to support this trip, go to the link down below. There's a GoFundMe. Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it. Small or big contributions are all super awesome. Today, we are putting the new Polestar 3 long-range dual motor through one of the hardest tests we do here on the channel. Because today's route is 615 kilometers or almost 400 miles long, we're going to have to stop and charge at least one time. Maybe we'll stop at the Ragde Chargers in Stoa, which has been a charging station we've used for years on this route, long before Ragde Charge was a sponsor with their slogan, God energi hele veien. Not only are we ranking this car based on the total time spent charging to cover the route, but this test is also designed to uncover weaknesses in the car's setup, software, hardware, or tuning. We start off by topping the massive 107 kilowatt-hour battery at the Ragde Chargers in Ullevål, Oslo. Today, I'm using my Ragde Charge RFID charging card, but I could easily use my debit card or any of the many charging or parking apps, like for example, Easy Park. Now, on with the video, and you join me after about an hour on the road. According to the wind map, it is very windy today. Headwinds on our way southwest now of 5 to 8 meters per second. And once the landscape opens, like crossing a bridge, you can really hear it and you can really feel it on the car. And it's also reflected by the consumption, because the first hour and a half, our average consumption was actually pretty low. But now after about an hour 15 on the road, the average consumption is right below 24.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which still isn't bad, but it is expected because of that headwind. We're gonna get a lot of that energy back once we turn around and start heading back towards Oslo, but not all of it. Between 7 and 9 degrees, 10 degrees Celsius today, not the warmest, so actually quite mild, mostly wet and damp, but also some dry patches. We've even had a shower or two, but only for a few minutes. We've now come to the section where the rest of the road is going to be patches of 4-lane, 2-lane highways, and then normal 2-lane country roads. And because of that, our average consumption is going to drop because of lower speeds, and that means that headwind is going to have less effect on the consumption. And last week, guys, I did the long trip test with the Polestar 4, and we had a lot of issues with the ADAS, the Advanced Driver Assistance Systems, and that test really revealed the weakness of the ADAS in that car. Today, with this car, none of the same issues, not even close. The Advanced Driver Assistance Systems in this car seems to be working really well, and this car is so comfortable, it's so quiet. It has such nice, precise, and delicate steering. These seats may just be the best seats in the business. These are so good. So on a road trip so far, this car is awesome. Along with the Bowers & Wilkins sound system, you can just totally disconnect, listen to music, and just lean back and relax and enjoy the journey. What an awesome car. What an awesome car, guys. So I'm going to update you once we get to our turnaround point in Kristiansand in, let's say, an hour and 53 minutes. And the car's predicting we're going to arrive there with 30% state of charge. As we moved south and closer to the halfway point, the Polestar 3 really came into its own as a long trip cruiser. Comfortable, quiet, and smooth. The weather also went from gray and wet to dry and sunny, which is always a great thing. Because we're starting this test in a different place, we're also turning around a little bit earlier to make the distance as close as possible. But this route is marginally longer than our normal route, maybe like 4 kilometers, so 0.7%. It is almost negligible, but it is worth mentioning. But okay, we are now approaching where we're gonna turn around here. And what's nice about this is that we don't have to go into town. There's no rush hour now because it's like 1:25 in the afternoon. But if we, arrived here a little bit later, we would usually hit rush hour traffic in Kristiansand. That's nice about this route, but we may hit a little bit of rush hour traffic in towards Oslo. But because we're heading towards the rush hour traffic, I don't think it's gonna be that bad, if any traffic at all. But okay guys, we are now here at a turnaround point close to IKEA and Maxburger here in Kristiansand. And after a little more than 300 kilometers on the road, our average consumption is around 23.6 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So it has actually dropped, which is a very, very nice thing. And I am expecting it to drop even more because we're gonna have a tailwind on our way back. And we are here also with 31% state charge. And that means the route planner in this car, it has been very accurate and very reliable compared to the Polestar 4 last week, which wasn't. When we left Oslo, the car said we were gonna arrive here with 29% stated charge. It went down to the lowest at around 28, and then it crept up to like 29 again, 30, and then 31, and down back to 30, and then we arrived here with 31. So it has been like a few 2-3% difference, but it has never been more than a few percent off. And arriving here with more juice, more battery than the car predicted is always better than less. And that is with a headwind, guys. So yeah, we've now turned around. We're now heading back towards Oslo. The car with the dynamic range prediction says we are going to be able to travel 120 kilometers. And that means we're going to be able to go to the Ionity chargers in Brokelandsheia, but maybe we want to go to the Tesla superchargers in Brokelandsheia because this car has a trick up its sleeve. Okay guys, we are now at our exit here at Brokelandsheia. Now let's choose one of these drive-through stalls here. It said in the app that 9C was broken. I think that's the one right over there, so we're not going to choose that one. Let's choose this one. This is called 10C, and we have the charge port here on the rear left side. So we arrived here with 7%. Again, 1% more than the car predicted. The car predicted 6% stated charge, and our average consumption has actually risen to 24.0 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers after 408.0 kilometers covered. Okay guys, we are now connected, and then I'm going to use the Tesla charging app here to start the charger. And I'm going to tell you guys in a second why we went here instead of the Ionity chargers right over there. 10C, and then we're going to start charging. So the car said we were at 7% state charge. Plug in to charge, and then it should start charging. I think it is now initializing, but there are a few chargers here. I think there were like 32 Tesla superchargers here, and then there are a few mid chargers, and then on the other side we have both Circle K and we have the Ionity chargers, and then no Circle K down there. There's the Circle K, and I think Recharge over there. Now you can hear the fan going, and let's hop in and see what charging speed we're now gonna get. Let's see, this is gonna be very exciting, and look at this, guys. So the Polestar 3 has a claimed peak charging speed of 250 kilowatts. 250 kilowatts is that claimed charging speed, and that is not at all chargers. You can see we're getting 250. That is pretty cool. 251. So there's no readout on these chargers. That's where you have to jump into the car. 252 at 9% stated charge. 253. Okay, that is insane. peaking at 253, which is 3 kilowatts more than this charger should output, because this charger has a maximum output of 250 kilowatts. We're getting 254, guys. 254 is our peak, and this is pretty impressive. So this is our destination, and we're gonna push start, and then we're gonna see what the car says we have to charge to be able to reach that destination. It says at least 60%, and then we're gonna arrive with 10%. So this car has a CCS connector, meaning it's following the CCS charging standard. But the CCS charging standard is mandated on the car side and also on the charger side. And for manufacturers and charge point operators to be able to install CCS chargers here in Europe, you have to follow that CCS charging standard and follow that certificate to the letter. And in that letter, or in the certification, the chargers can output a maximum of 500 amps for a short time period, and then that has to be dialed down to 400 amps. So if we do the math, take this car, which is on a 400 volt architecture, you take 500 amps, you multiply it by 400 volts, that gives you 200 kilowatts, right? Which is the peak charging speed. So that means at a CCS certified charger, this car can only get 200 kilowatts for a short period of time. And then it has to be dialed down to 400 amps. 400 amps times 400 volts is 160 kilowatts. So why are we able to get 250 kilowatts from a Tesla supercharger then? Isn't this a CCS charger? Well, no, it actually isn't. This is a Tesla supercharger that has a CCS connector. This is Tesla proprietary technology meant for their cars, but they have opened up these chargers for other cars. But this isn't a CCS charger. And for Teslas to be able to get 250 kilowatts, like all of the Model S's and 3s we have around here, on a 400 volt architecture, these chargers are actually designed to output 625 amps. And because this isn't a CCS charger, it doesn't have to follow that CCS certification, even though it has a connector. And that means these chargers for a short time period can output 625 or 650 amps. And when you do the math, that's how you get 250 kilowatts. Yeah, that is pretty insane, which is a loophole, because now that means Tesla is actually viable for how this car behaves. If a fire starts here, well, who's responsible? Is it Polestar or is it Tesla? I don't know. I think that is a legal situation that maybe a car will start to burn sometime, and then there's going to be some kind of legal battle. So yeah, guys, let's charge to 60% now. I have a timer on the charging session, and I think this is going to be a very impressive time. So I'll speak to you guys a little bit later. As soon as we hit 59% stated charge, the car said we'd arrive at our destination with 9% battery. Having a headwind on our way back and the car's route planner being fairly accurate in its prediction, I was fairly confident we'd not only make it back, but with plenty of juice to spare. And piloting the Polestar 3, the last stint turned out to be a real joy. Welcome back to where we started this long trip test earlier today, here at the Ragde Chargers by McDonald's here in Ullevål. And again, before we jump into the results, I just want to give a huge thanks to Ragde Charge for being today's video sponsor. They have this charging location here, which is very practical if you want to go to the McDonald's here. Or they have a lot of different charging locations around Oslo next to stores and to shops. So if you're usually shopping around Oslo, go to the link down below and see if there's a Ragde Charger close to where you usually go and shop. And also, guys, a reminder, if you own a company, you can actually get a discount at Ragde Charge. So go to the link down below, fill out the form, and see if you can get a great price on charging for your company by Ragde Charge. So we arrived here with 15% state of charge and an average consumption of 23.3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. And compared to the Porsche Taycan 4 Cross Turismo, the facelifted version we tested a few weeks back, that is 0.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers higher. And I have to say, considering that this car is on Same set of wheels and tires, 20-inch wheels and tires, similar width in the front and the back. But this is a car with a bigger battery, so it weighs more, and also an SUV. And the conditions today were worse, though the temperatures were a little bit higher than when we tested that Porsche Taycan 4 Cross Turismo. I have to say that this is an impressive result, impressive consumption for this size and this type of vehicle. Especially considering that that Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo has a drag coefficient of 0.25, and this has a drag coefficient of 0.29. So how is it so close in efficiency? That is pretty insane. And guys, in a few weeks, I want to test this against the Porsche Macan EV. Do a review and also maybe do a range and long trip test. Let me know if you want to see that video down below. Subscribe to the channel if you do, and give this video a thumbs up. But the elephant in the room is the Polestar 4 long-range dual-motor performance I tested last week, where this car has considerably lower consumption. Yes, that day it was a little bit colder, and also we had a little bit of slush and snow, but today we had much stronger winds. We also had a lot more water in the road, more damp and wet roads. So I think the conditions are actually pretty similar. I just think this car is more efficient. But in that video, there were a few comments like claiming that I drove the whole or the half test in performance mode. Let me clear that up. When I sat into the car, I always check before I set off that the car is in the most efficient mode. Range mode in Polestars, efficiency mode in other cars, etc., etc. And during those trips, I often stop to go to the toilet or buy something to drink like a coffee or a Pepsi Max, or even eat off camera, because the charging sessions are dedicated to charging. I have to be on my toes and I have to film B-roll, I have to film A-roll and all of that. I usually don't have time to do other things. I'm sitting in the car, and also now because I'm correcting the time, I'm taking notes all the way. So I can assure you guys that if the car was driven in performance mode, it was like 5% of that trip if I forgot to reset it back into range mode when I went to the toilet. But I'm pretty sure I checked that car several times during that trip and every time I hopped into the car. So I think there was just a bug with that car. Even though the car was in range mode, that performance icon on the home screen was for some reason activated. The same with this car. Every time I go in and out of the car, the head-up display is on, though in the menu it's off. So there have been issues with these Polestars, the 3 and the 4, with software and glitches, and I think we can attribute that to that. So with that cleared up, let's jump into the results. So we charged to 59% until the car said we were going to arrive here with 9%. 10 meters down the road, it corrected itself to 10%, and we arrived here with 15%. Again, compared to the Polestar 4 last week, again, we charged until the car said we were going to arrive with 10%, and we weren't able to get even close to getting back here. I think we had to abort with like minus 13 kilometers until we were going to get back here. So very different calibrations, and this car has been overestimating just a little bit, around 5 to 6% on our way back and 2 to 3% on our way down. That is a lot better than under calculating. So we charged to 59%, which took us a total of 20 minutes. So if we correct for that, 59% minus 15, that means we charged to 44%, and the time going from 7 to 44% state of charge with this car was 13 minutes. And I have to say, considering the weather today, between 7 and 10 degrees Celsius, the winds, most of the time we having wet roads, and the type of vehicle this car is, and it being on a 400 volt architecture, this isn't an 800 volt architecture. Like every car in front of this except the Mercedes EQE, which was rear wheel drive and done on much milder conditions with smaller wheels. This is impressive. This performance, this type of vehicle, and the conditions today. I'm pretty sure if we did this test, 20 degrees Celsius, dry roads, and basically no winds, this car would have posted a very nice sub 10-minute charging time to complete the long trip test. So impressive either way. And on top of that, the car being great to drive, these seats are awesome, the cabin is quiet, the ride is comfortable, the sound system is amazing. Yeah, this is quickly turning into maybe my favorite car period. So guys, let me know what you think about the results of the Polestar 3 long-range dual motor in the long trip test. Are you impressed? Are you not? If so, tell me why or not. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later and goodbye.